Hello, 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 YouTube. Welcome to another exciting episode of Simon Says Wrestling. Today we're going to be going over WWE Raw's recent episode, which aired on the 13th. Obviously, here in South Africa, we got to watch it a bit later. Just finished watching the program, made my notes, ready to give you guys a great review of the show. Just in case you missed it, just go over some talking points and discuss a few things that we might have picked up from today's episode. It was a flippin' fantastic episode. Great action from the onset until the episode finished. It was a great episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. This is the second one, and with the speed that they started with, they definitely hitting the ground running. We got major announcements for upcoming matches, and obviously next week's Raw episode, which will obviously be going through into the review. But it was a great show. It was a great show. Really enjoyed it thoroughly. Had some ups and downs here and there, but what's a wrestling show without any ups and downs here and there? But it was a great show nonetheless, guys. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe to the channel. My Twitter, the link to my Twitter profile is in the comments. I'll pin that for you guys at the comments. Or if you'd like, you can just go over to the channel. It's obviously in the bio. I put it there for everyone that wants to follow. We can discuss more wrestling in Twitter. On Twitter. Oh, it's X on X. I'm sorry. I can never get to call it X. I'm sorry. It just feels weird. But it's on X. Follow me at Simon. On Twitter, the handle is a bit shorter than what it is here on YouTube. It's Sai Says Wrestling. Sorry, I thought I had someone get into the room, but it's fine. So yeah, we've got the notes ready here, and then obviously it took place in San Jose, still in California. Great crowd in attendance, very reactive crowd. They weren't dead at any time. They had great reactions to everything that was going on in and outside of the ring. We kicked off the show with CM Punk, who cut a promo, who basically, in summary, was just declaring himself into the Men's Royal Rumble for this year and declaring his intentions to win the Royal Rumble and obviously headline WrestleMania, which is something CM Punk has never done, which is an injustice at this point in time with the heat and the level of numbers and ratings that he brings to the show. I think this year would be a good time to maybe give him one night to main event. As we do know, WrestleMania is night 1 and night 2, so obviously he would fit perfectly into any of those plans. But I think he's pushing for that WrestleMania spot, and then he wants to headline it. Obviously, that's what we've known CM Punk to want to be doing. I think he would have loved to do that with the previous Royal Rumble. Unfortunately, as he mentioned in his promo, his tricep left the group chat. His tricep was like, I ain't going there. So obviously, we had to pivot. As you all remember, the word that was said and then overused in last year's WrestleMania was pivot. We had to pivot away from the plot. But yeah, he also sent a special shout out to Los Angeles and the fires that they're currently experiencing. Our heartfelt prayers, and obviously we're praying that as much as people are losing, that they can all maybe start from rebuilding from the ground upwards. And then our hearts and prayers go out to LA. Obviously they can bounce back from this, and then obviously we hope and pray that their families get reunited and it doesn't get as crazy as it already is. It's crazy that they're having these kind of fires, but I think maybe it's probably to do with the weather or something like that side. But he mentioned that prayers and thoughts go out to the family members affected by the fires in the Los Angeles area. Obviously with CM Punk having said this and made his intentions clear for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, he asked for his music to be hit and out comes Seth freaking Rollins. Like I said in my previous video, Seth for me is the complete package in what you would be looking for as a wrestler in this day and age. Seth comes out, interrupts CM Punk. Obviously CM Punk throws a tantrum. Obviously those have been getting a lot of attention on social media as to how CM Punk reacts to Seth Rollins entering or interrupting him in these sort of situations. But we all enjoy the interaction. Seth Rollins just basically came out to explain that out of all the matches that he has lost, this has to be the hardest that's hit him the most. So obviously pits back to the amount of animosity and history that they have amongst each other. He explained that he's disappointed in himself, and now he's just looking forward into also maybe just getting over that whole loss and then trying to screw CM Punk in the only way that he knows he can now, which is basically entering himself also into the Royal Rumble. He announced that he's entering himself into the Royal Rumble, and when he took off his shades, he had a sort of like a black eye. So I think those are the scars from the first episode of Raw on Netflix. Those are the battle scars that he got from CM Punk. As these two are going back and forth into the ring, Drew McIntyre also makes his presence felt, also just reiterating the fact that there is a bigger problem happening in the WWE, and that is that somehow Roman Reigns is somehow getting back into power. Roman Reigns is somehow getting back what they've worked so hard to keep and take him out of. Justified. And it's giving ideas. There's been these rumors and social media bookings that would like to pin Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins as a three-man who would form a faction and then take down Roman Reigns once and for all. But I don't think they will take him down in that sense, but would be the most legitimate to wanna be a threat to his title run or whatever power that he wants to regain back as the bloodline, as the original bloodline. So Drew also declares himself into the Royal Rumble, and ladies and gentlemen, this year's Royal Rumble, without any hype, without any, I would say, promo, without any exaggeration, it might be the biggest Royal Rumble that we've seen in a while. This might be one of the most superstar stacked Royal Rumbles that we have, and it's looking flipping fantastic. It's looking so great. The field is stacked. We've got heavy hitters, we've got heavy names in this Royal Rumble, and it's gonna be one of the best, and I can bet my left liver on this one, because I think that's still the good liver. It's gonna be one of the best WrestleManias that we've seen in a while. Royal Rumbles, I meant to say, sorry about that. And obviously WrestleMania, because it rolls on into that whole thing. It's the road to WrestleMania. That's how we get there. So we're going to be having an exciting, and I mean exciting, Royal Rumble. And this is just like peak. This is like peak professional wrestling. We're at the peak of everything. And at this point in time, we have the normal I'm ready to throw down vibes, with Drew McIntyre stating that he has no interest in throwing down with these two gentlemen. And like I said, it was a segment that was filled with promo, that was filled with declarations into the Royal Rumble, and those are the three names that we got into that Royal. We've got CM Punk, we've got Seth Rollins, and we've got Drew McIntyre. Besides those three gents that we have in there, Roman Reigns is also in the Royal Rumble. John Cena is in the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso's in the Royal Rumble. L.A. Knight, is in the Royal Rumble. We've got Seth, who just announced himself. Drew is also in the Royal Rumble. So it's gonna be a very stacked Royal Rumble match this year. It's gonna be flipping fantastic, and if possible, I will react to the show as it's happening. So obviously we can maybe set up and then getting used to the whole editing and all that stuff. But for now, we're still keeping it simple. We're keeping it as is. So with that happening and how it's all going at this point in time, it's gonna be a great Royal Rumble. I can already tell by the names that we have in it. It's gonna be unpredictable. We don't know what to expect, how to expect it, and then how it's gonna affect the road going into WrestleMania. Personally, I would feel that Drew McIntyre should win the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre should win the Royal Rumble. He should be the one to challenge Cody Rhodes for the undisputed heavyweight championship. And obviously with the help of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, he can maybe accomplish that, taking down Cody Rhodes, because they feel that Cody Rhodes has abandoned the cause and he doesn't know which side that he is fighting for, on what side he's standing for, basically, which would then have us get Roman Reigns try to challenge for that title, but struggle because of his previous sins. And then these two people, Rollins and Owens, and with the help of Drew McIntyre as champion, just to head up that whole stable and then just beat him down. Because I feel like ever since Roman has gotten back, he hasn't really felt the consequences of his actions towards other superstars. There's been the whole story has been focused on the Ulafala. He has tried to get back with Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Sami Zayn. But at this point in time, Jey Uso also has his own problems that he needs to focus on in the form of Gunther. Now that he has a World Heavyweight Championship match with Gunther, we'll obviously discuss that segment going forward. Sami Zayn was basically just told to stop being a lackey by Seth Rollins tonight. And then Jimmy Uso might be sticking towards Roman Reigns, but he also needs to branch out. It's either he branches out or he goes back to his brother and we get the Usos back, which would be great for television. But I feel that Roman hasn't suffered enough for his past actions. He hasn't been put through the ringer for everything that he has done, which is obviously, I'm hoping there will be a story that will unfold going forward so we can at least see that side of Roman Reigns down, beat down. And the Ulafala at this point in time, yes, it was a traditional thing that I think they were paying homage to the Samoan tribe to share a bit of their culture, give us a little bit of insight into their culture as to what goes on, how it goes on. Because obviously with everything that had happened during that week, if you do follow Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he explained the whole family tree and then how it works out. So obviously that was a peek into their traditions, peek into their culture. So now if we take it back to the wrestling, we need to have that thing focused around the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship and at least have Roman try, which I believe his journey to maybe trying to get the championship back will start at the Royal Rumble. I don't think personally he should win that Royal Rumble because obviously Roman Reigns at this point in time, he doesn't need the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns is a needle mover. Roman Reigns is one of the biggest superstars in the WWE at this point in time. So for me, Drew McIntyre set up the stable, cause havoc, make sure that Roman doesn't get anywhere near the title, and just have that redemption arc story built up so that we can have Roman as a pure-blooded face, like make him out to be that good guy, make him out to be that he has actually gone and he's actually apologized to the people and what he has put them through with that whole 4-year run as a title. I think it was three or 4 years, roughly there, just to suffer for everyone that he has basically given a whole beat down too. That's half of the locker room. We need more time to then explore that angle where Roman needs to suffer more. Yes, he's the biggest guy in the company. Yes, he's a needle mover, probably sells more merch, but we need him to go through that storyline of the bad guy that is now transitioning back into being the good guy, but also at that time realizing his mistakes and then apologizing to the people that he has affected. Obviously, we've got the second segment of the show, and Chad Gable comes out to the ring with the Alpha Academy, another group which I feel has so much potential to offer to the business. Great athletes, all of them. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 of them in the stable. Obviously, with Chad Gable being the 4th, and then the leader of the group. Great stable, great faction. Obviously, going forward, I would like to see them utilized more. Chad Gable comes out, it goes to commercial, but it seems that Chad Gable had cut a promo and basically just announced that this 2025 version of himself is the best Chad Gable that we're gonna get. And obviously when Chad Gable says that and it translates into the match that he's been having lately, that's gonna be something exciting to look forward to. And in comes Penta. As Michael Cole said it, WWE's most horribly hidden secret and new agent of the company. Penta made his debut today. It was such a great honor to see someone of his status in the luchador world make his I would say it's one of the most anticipated luchador debuts that I've seen in a while in the WWE. Obviously, if you don't know who Penta is a phenomenal luchador. He's a great, and I mean flippin' fantastic luchador in the ring. He knows his way in and out of those ropes. He has a lot of experience under his belt, having worked in international companies, and obviously having come back from another company that he was a wrestling company. In my opinion, was underutilized. His magnitude as a superstar wasn't appreciated enough. But I feel that here in WWE, under the tutelage of probably Rey Mysterio, he's gonna be a bigger, better star than what he was outside of the WWE, because having coming in, the spotlight now at this point in time is so hard and it's so hot on WWE that anybody that even steps with the foot into that spotlight gets instant recognition. Some people were not familiar with who Penta is and what he does inside the ring, his wrestling style. But obviously, being a luchador, he's a high flyer, risk taker, and you know all of that in-ring stuff. But today was an introduction into that, and I feel that Chad Gable was the perfect, and I mean the perfect opponent to accomplish this. Not only did they have unmatched chemistry, it was a great match inside and out. Crowd was so responsive to seeing Penta. Once that music hit, once those graphic hits, everybody was on it, and it was such a great flipping time. And it was a great match. Obviously a few bumps here and there, a few hiccups, but it's Penta. He hasn't been in the ring in a while. And obviously going forward it's going to be polished, but the match was it was flawless. The match was so great. It had suicide dives, some luchador styles here and there, and he hit the Penta drive on Chad Gable to win the match. So the winner in that match was Penta, and he went on to obviously give a promo to thank everyone in San Jose for welcoming him to his new home. And it was a great sight to see. I think his family was in the front with his daughter, which meant maybe a lot to her because she had known that her father always wanted to be in the WWE. It was such a wholesome moment to see that whole thing, that they could have his family sit in the front and then watch their dad's debut. It was such a great moment. It's great to see when superstars' families come out and actually get acknowledged. It was so great. It wasn't even said on the show itself, but if you know your history and you've done research on this guy, that's what that was, his family. I'm sure it meant such. It was so much pride, and it was so great for him to have his family front row supporting him. It was a great match. And if you get a chance, just maybe go into YouTube, type Penta matches, you'll see how phenomenal this guy is and what Triple H actually sees, and what some of us fans who've seen this guy's work. This guy is a phenomenal luchador. Another thing that I would like for everyone to actually do is to actually just maybe Google Rey Fenix as well. Check up on Rey Fenix, and you will love these two guys. They have such great chemistry, great luchadors, and they have the best, I would say, the best luchadors at this point in time. The greatest of all time will always be Rey Mysterio, but the greatest luchadors at this time, in the era that we're in, would be Penta and Rey Fenix. Such great athletes. The other thing that I need to mention and throw out there is that Cole and Pat McAfee are such a great commentary team. They are flipping awesome at what they're doing. These shows have more energy, and obviously there was a sign in the crowd today which said McAfee equals ratings. Yeah, it's true, ladies and gentlemen. The show has a bit of a more of a, he's not a color commentator. He's more of a, his wing, it almost feels like every time Pat commentates, he commentates from the heart. He doesn't have a script. He might have a script as to how the whole show is going to be panned out, but what he says, how he says it, what he does when he gets into that mode, it's very rare to find a commentator that can do what he does. And then having been next to someone like Michael Cole, who's been so long in this industry, has built up his name, and is one of the best commentators in the sport today. I just want to give a special shout out to those two guys as a tag team. I'd say a tag team commentator championship. They deserve it. All the success with the Pat McAfee show, you can check it out on YouTube as well. Michael Cole has been in our lives from day one. I'm telling you, from day one, Michael Cole has been there. There have been greats before him, but from the era that I grew up in, I've known only Michael Cole. I've only experienced Michael Cole, and having seen him grow from where he was to where he is today, it's one of the most beautiful things that you could ever ask for. Obviously, we got, just after that whole Penta and Chad Gable match, we got a Judgment Day segment. It seems like there's a bit of friction. There's a bit of friction in the Judgment Day. Liv Morgan and Finn Balor haven't been on the best of pages in the past couple of weeks. And they're starting to be cracks. Whether they want us to believe that or not, there are cracks in the Judgment Day. And we can only speculate as to how it's gonna go, because obviously at this point in time we have Liv Morgan, who has beef with Finn Balor, but is also Liv Morgan, who is Dominic Mysterio's girlfriend. So how do we then play this? Do we then get Liv Morgan out of the Judgment Day, or do we get Finn Balor out of the Judgment Day? That in itself is a story that's brewing, and that's obviously going forward. And with Liv Morgan having lost the title to Rhea Ripley, we can now maybe try to focus more on the Judgment Day as a unit, as a faction, to see if whether we're splitting them up or we're keeping it as is and just getting a couple of members out to give it back that feel of the Judgment Day, to give it back that thing that we need to run this thing, we need to run this show. Either way, whoever gets kicked out, Finn Balor or Liv Morgan, at the end of the day, both of them make great baby faces. We've seen this before, and I feel like Finn would be more of an appropriate member to be kicked out, as he's been given more of the I'm the leader of the Judgment Day vibe more than Liv Morgan has. Finn it almost looks like Finn is trying to control the Judgment Day, even though the Judgment Day states that they are a family. So for me personally, I would just like to see Finn Balor taken out of the Judgment Day. Once he's taken out of the Judgment Day, turn babyface, and then he can go after the Judgment Day and have a whole feud with them. Dominic Mysterio still has it. He still can't figure women out. But give him props, who can? Like at this point in time, who can? He's having such a hard time reading Liv Morgan, and he thinks all is well and peachy, but we all know how it goes. It's a relationship, it's a woman, and Dominic thinks he's out of the clear. But obviously with the action that he gestured to Rhea Ripley just after the match, it gives off a bit of a weird vibe in the Judgment Day. But with the women's title officially out of the Judgment Day, with the tag team titles out of the Judgment Day, we can focus on Judgment Day itself as a unit, and then try to move it forward, and then try to build it from here. Give it a storyline of its own, let it grow, make the guys work for the time. Obviously Carlito, ever since he's gotten into the Judgment Day, I don't remember ever seeing a match with Carlito in wrestling. There might be one, but I don't think I've seen more than 5 matches with Carlito in it as part of the Judgment Day. So we also need to develop that unit as itself and just make it grow bigger, so we can have stories that actually come out of that faction. Whether they go forward to dominate or whether they fall apart, it's a story that we all need to, I think we all have our eyes on. I'm more interested into the relationship aspect of it between Dominic and Liv, and obviously what's going on between the friction between Finn Balor and Liv Morgan. So with that having been said, we also got a match between Sheamus and Kaiser. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2025, and I can guarantee you, whether it's a banger after banger after banger, or burger after burger after burger, Sheamus delivers day in, day out in that squared circle. I feel that there's no one that's giving as much physicality as that guy is. Any match with Sheamus in it at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, which I feel for 2025, we need to give Sheamus the title run with the Intercontinental Championship, given the fact that it's the only title that he has never won. Sheamus's work rate at this point in time, he's a flipping workhorse. He's putting out bangers after bangers after bangers, and this match with Kaiser was nothing less. It also, in its own sense, builds up Kaiser. If you've seen Kaiser's previous work in NXT when it was still black and gold, with obviously with Gunther and the other gent, I just can't get his name right now, as Imperium. They had some terrific matches. Kaiser is a fantastic in-ring performer. He knows how to evoke emotion. He knows how to get the crowd going. He also knows how to put down the crowd easily so that he can get them and bends them to the will of what he's going through. But don't think that he doesn't like to get physical. He gets physical, as you could see today. This was a physically demanding match between the two. Sheamus obviously won in the end, with Kaiser trying to use the shillelagh on Sheamus to win the match, but obviously that failed because they also showed the significance. I love how we're having small details in these matches, in these Raw episodes, where we have a recap and they actually show you what played a role in the previous match, what small things you need to keep an eye out on, and the commentators are not scared to let you know that the last match, he used the shillelagh to win, to actually screw Sheamus out of the Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat match against Braun Breaker, who for some reason nowadays superstars are getting a lot of ticket seats. I've noticed. I think today it was Bailey, it was Braun Breaker. They got tickets. You know that whole meme with Solo Sikoa and some like, I got tickets. It seems like a lot of superstars are getting front row tickets, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I guess it's a new direction in which they're taking, where superstars get front row tickets but also get acknowledged in the show. As Braun Breaker was mentioned as a guest on the show, I didn't understand that. We also have this whole thing of transfer window. I don't know what's up with the whole transfer window issue. I don't know what it entails, because it normally with the transfer window, I would say we used to have this whole, it was a trade. It was basically a trade between the superstars. You would get drafted. It was a draft, WWE draft. If you've been watching WWE, it used to be one of the most exciting things until the lines got a bit blurred and we couldn't tell whether a person was a SmackDown superstar or a Raw superstar. Then from there, we kind of lost the line, and then everybody just seemed to trickle into the other show, trickle into the other show. A Raw superstar would be on SmackDown, a SmackDown superstar would be on Raw, and vice versa. And then you would actually just start asking yourself, what's going on? Is it a brand split? Do we have superstars, or can they just be in whatever instances? So I'm still gonna look more into that whole transfer window situation and just find out what does it entail. Does it entail that the general managers will be having a draft between themselves? Or is it just if a general manager shows interest in a superstar, they can just go and get up a superstar? So that's what I'm also trying to figure out. It seems like there's a lot of things that still need to be ironed out into the company itself from a fan's perspective to just get a whole logistic of the whole area of what's going on. The group EFC had a segment. They were basically interviewed, and then the interviewer wanted to find out, which was Kathy, wanted to find out what was the way forward and what are their future plans, which in themselves have made it clear that they want gold. But this group hasn't been that exposed, and yes, it has been dominant here and there. They injured one of the female superstars, which got her out of the Intercontinental Ship tournament. But I don't understand why this early it seems like WWE is trying to show that there's a bit of a strain in the group, because as the segment progressed, Sonya Deville made it clear that what's this chick's name? There's this other lady in the group. It's Sonya Deville, it's Shayna Baszler, the third lady, whose name I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry. I just know the group name, EFC. She made it clear that she will be the first one in line for the Intercontinental Championship to whoever wins the tournament tonight. But Sonya Deville had a look of confusion on her face to say no. What she meant is that somebody from this group will be winning the title from the now Intercontinental Champion Valkyrie. So it was a bit of, dude, it almost smells like the group is going to split and there's tension in the group, which is for me a bit too early. We need to establish the group and then just see what they're about. Obviously, it's more about chaos and taking what they want and making it clear to the women's division that they are in charge. But we need to see more of that. Given the fact that they have Shayna Baszler in the group. Shayna Baszler is one of the most dominant female performers that has ever come to the WWE in a long time. From her reign in NXT to when she first debuted on the main roster, she was an absolute animal. She was taking women left, right, and center. If you don't believe me, there's a Hell in a Cell match where Shayna Baszler was in that match. And lo and behold, she dominated that match. She looked big, she looked strong, and she looked unstoppable. So with people like Shayna Baszler in that group and Sonya Deville obviously has her own MMA background, but at the end of the day, she also went into a managerial role at some point, which then we forgot a little bit about the in-ring ability that she has. Once in a while, she would go into a match, but in those matches, she would be made to look weak and obviously made look like I would say like I wouldn't say a walkover, but she was made she was portrayed to be weak. She was portrayed as someone that you shouldn't have to worry way too much about. And we need to establish those women once again. We need to establish the dominance with them and have that group build up. And then once it's at its peak, we can then maybe break it down and then start detaching one member at a time from the group. But for now, I feel like we need to build them up a bit more. And going forward, they're going to need a bit of more exposure. They're going to need more promo time. They're going to need more TV time. We need to see them more in the ring. We need to build that group up before we can start breaking it down, because the idea is fantastic. That idea is fantastic. It's 3 tough ladies, very strong, no walkovers, crazy strength, crazy in-ring ability. I would like to see that group actually made to grow a bit, and then once people are interested and once people are more fearing and more scared of the group, then we can start showing maybe the dissension in it, the tension in it. But I personally, it's a great group. EFC, I would like to see them go more TV time, more promos, more carnage, more chaos in the women's roster. And then from there, we can build them up to that stage where when they do start breaking up, we're all like, oh my God, what's going on? No, what's going? So I feel like they still need that more time to blow up. And then obviously with Triple H, I believe that he will obviously do things his own way, but I believe that that team needs to be built a bit more. We need to still work on the logistics of everything, and then we just need to make them bigger. We just need to make them more menacing. We need to make them more unstoppable. That's how I feel. We also got an announcement that Drew will be taking on Seth Rollins next week, and just after that whole announcement, the idea for that match actually takes place in the segment that pulls through just after that whole EFC with Seth Rollins walking in the back and then Sami bumping into him. I mean, just telling him that he understands that it's been a tough week for him, and if he needs to talk, he's here. Like any other good guy or any other friend that understands that someone is going through a tough loss. Seth Rollins wasn't having any of that. Seth Rollins was like, you know what? Screw this. I might have had a bad week, but I see you and your buddy finally got what you wanted. Good for you. But when are you going to start focusing on yourself? Which is a great point. He's not wrong. At this point in time, Sami is just helping Roman Reigns to retain his power. But when does Sami Zayn start putting Sami Zayn first? Sami is a great friend. He's an honorary Uso. He's one of the top faces in the company at this point in time. So I believe he needs to focus more on himself. And the other question that I got into my mind from all of this is, after Sami Zayn has helped Roman Reigns retain back his Ulafala, does then Roman Reigns help Sami Zayn win any sort of title that means something to him? Which is what I keep asking myself, and then I'm like, does Sami Zayn not see it the way that we all see that? It seems like Roman is using everyone to retain his power, but he's not putting anyone in power. So it's a thought that obviously goes around and it will be played around a lot in the WWE as of now. And yeah, it's just something that Seth Rollins said that had us thinking, had the whole wrestling community thinking is when is Sammy gonna start focusing on Sammy, and they're still showing Hulk Hogan. I got a commercial with Hulk Hogan. He was advertising Saturday night main event. Yeah, I don't, I don't know. It's just bad. It's just bad. But yeah, Hulk Hogan advertised Saturday night main event, and it was a cringe sight to say nonetheless. Obviously, a lot of people who may be new to wrestling might not understand why Hogan is getting the amount of backlash that he is. And the truth is, guys is straight up forward racist. He doesn't like black people. I don't know the guy personally. Just like any other individual, I think we've heard the voice notes that were leaked, recordings with him just basically acknowledging the fact that he's a racist. I'm not gonna waste my time into all of that, but I just find it weird that they're still showing his face. I guess maybe he's probably with one of the sponsors for the Netflix deal. Yeah, but anyway, it is what it is. I don't think anyone is even having that American beer. If anything, Stone Cold would have been a better option. But enough about that old guy. Yeah. We get a segment as well with the Miz and Karrion Kross, and to be honest, I'm liking what I see with Karrion Kross. He's giving me the vibe that he had back in NXT, but in NXT he was actually bold. In NXT he was a flipping monster. He used to go through that roster like he was going through Skittles. Obviously, Miz has been, I wouldn't say Miz has been leeching on to the Final Testament and Karrion Kross. It looks like Miz is actually a prisoner of his own decisions to align himself with the Final Testament, which is obviously Karrion Kross, who is the leader in that group. They discuss as to the Wyatt Six have been moved to SmackDown, so obviously, which means that they can no longer feud with them. This was a piece of news that I think was just thrown in there to let everyone know why it had just seemed to have everything gone quiet all of a sudden. The Wyatt Six have been drafted. I would use that word because that's the one that I'm most used to. They've been drafted to SmackDown, and it looks like there's gonna be new storylines with the Final Testament, obviously with Miz in them. And as the wrestling community, I don't think we give the Miz enough credit as to how much of an exceptional wrestler he is, given his background and how he got into the sport. I think it was one of the promos that he had cut with Daniel Bryan that he has never been injured. Some people might even call him boring. Some people might even call him not exciting. But I find the Miz to be, in a lack of a better word, the safest wrestler that I have ever met. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that the Miz has injured anyone. I don't think I've ever heard say the Miz has injured himself during a match. This guy has been consistently going in and out, show after show, for I think the past, is it not 10 years or so? If it's not 10 years, it's more than 10 years. Miz has been going on to that show. He has never missed any sort of show. If he did, it's probably because he didn't have any story or angle, but Miz has been there constantly for the company, and I don't think he gets enough he doesn't get enough praise as to how much he has given to the WWE, and how much of an in-ring performer, and how safe he is, how he has built names up, like names such as Daniel Bryan, for the fact that Daniel Bryan was the Miz's junior, and he was his mentor. And then after that whole Miz and Daniel Bryan issue, we got more attention on Daniel Bryan. Yes, he was an exceptional wrestler before going into the WWE and the program, but with what Miz did for him, it's almost like you guaranteed that you're gonna get recognition, and I don't think we appreciate the Miz enough. So for me, from my side, if he does see this video, the Miz for me, for the past decade and a half, this guy has been exceptional. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying his style is wow, and I'm not saying he's the best wrestler in the world, but for a wrestler to go on to that long without having injured anyone or being injured himself, that to me is a testament of how much he has learned and has crafted his skill inside the ring. So I don't think we give Miz enough credit. And obviously he bumps into Sami Zayn and a match is made, so that we get the whole Miz and Sami Zayn match with Karrion Kross obviously leaving him out to dry. Karrion Kross was like, my man, today it's just you. Don't involve me. When you say we, who are you talking about? When you say we, hori re oraman. That's basically what he said. And at the end of the day, it was Miz left to go out there all alone. Had a great match with Sami Zayn. This is what I keep telling people, that you guys don't notice the fact that Miz is almost like a stepping stone for a lot of superstars. He gives them momentum going into certain things. He plays his role so well, and he's not a good face. Don't get me wrong. The best place that I would have Miz is a heel. Miz is a heel, and then he goes against everything that good guys stand for. That would be the best place for you to place Miz, as a heel. With now, he's more of a vulnerable guy who's just having a hard time fitting into the Final Testament because he doesn't know where he stands. But the Miz as a heel, as a full-blown heel, is where he does some of his best work. And then tonight, with the match with Sami Zayn, I feel like that was a stepping stone for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn doesn't need to be established, doesn't need to be stepped on anything. But as far as in picking up momentum, the Miz will always be there to what I feel will always elevate more superstars to a higher level. And it was a great match. It was also great to see Sami Zayn win the match with a Blue Thunder Bomb. Haven't seen that since the NXT days, but it was so flippin' awesome. And the portrayal of Karrion Kross, which is back to my point, to Karrion Kross, who's portraying himself as this passive-aggressive lunatic. To be honest, he's a master manipulator, and you can see that they're trying to lean in more into the fact that Karrion Kross can be more dangerous than what he already is, and he portrays that character so well. Karrion Kross looks like one of the nicest guys, but once he goes into that maniacal, crazy sort of trance that he goes into, you won't exactly know what's what. So as I was saying, sorry, had to attend to a couple of things. Wife just came back, needed to show a couple of things that needed to be sorted out. Forgot to take the meat out of the freezer. But yeah, as I was saying with Karrion Kross and the depiction of the character that he's in right now, it's gonna be massive going forward. He's obviously gonna grow as time goes by going forward, and he's just gonna show us more character development as we go. With this having been done, we also got Obafemi in the crowd. He's the current NXT champion. He's gonna be a big deal once he shows up on the main roster. He's taking over here, and he's crushing and killing everything in his path right about now. He's the current NXT champion. Promo, exceptional. In ring competitor, exceptional. So he's a big guy that needs to be. For me, he would make a perfect monster heel, because we haven't had one of those in a while in the WWE. The previous regime tried with Omos, but Omos wasn't that much of a success at the time. But I believe that Obafemi might be the next best monster heel that we get in the WWE once he makes his debut on the main roster. But for now, with his work in the NXT and the UK, he's totally killing it. He's taken and crushed every opponent that they've ever placed in front of him, and he's one of those guys that we need to keep a huge and major eye on once he makes that splash in the main roster. We got Gunther coming down to the ring, obviously trying to do what a heel champion normally does in instances like this. He breaks down the crowd. Once in a while, breaks down other superstars. How we mentioned that he was watching the first Raw on Netflix and he wasn't that impressed. That's Gunther. Gunther is as it's that one friend that you had that grew up having money, and for some reason he could never do bad in anything. He could never be bad in academically, which is promos. He could never do bad in athletics, which is his in-ring work as well. Gunther has just been putting in so much work. He's also another superstar who I feel, if JBL was still a commentator at this point in time, was to say, if you were to build a WWE superstar from the ground upwards, it would look something like Gunther, because Gunther has the attributes to make for a great champion. This was even highlighted in his run as the Intercontinental Champion, where he had he had a great run as the Intercontinental Champion. He succeeded in making that title more relevant once again, and I believe with the way that he's carrying himself with the World Heavyweight Championship, you can see the character portrayal of Gunther. It's more of he's still the dominant champion that we've once known him to be, but he also has his weaknesses. Was more portrayed, I think it was beautifully portrayed in that whole storyline with him and Damian Priest, where Damian Priest had expressed to him that you had been pinned by Cody Rhodes and your confidence has not been the same ever since. That in itself, as we go, will obviously develop. He came out, he bashed the first night because obviously he wasn't made part of that show, so he felt that show lacked prestige. He also mentioned that he doesn't also understand why there's no one gunning for him, which is also a valid point, because he has the World Heavyweight Championship, and with the World Heavyweight Championship you should have multiple targets on your back. You should be made to work overtime. You should be wary of everything and everyone around you. So with him having said that, in hits Jey Uso's music, crowd absolutely goes nuts. I think ever since the whole show in France, American crowds have come to appreciate these theme songs more and more, and have come to appreciate what the superstar bring to the table and give them the love that they deserve while entering it. It's also made it very important that crowds be interactive with what's going on in the ring. Jey Uso always comes out to a huge pop. He has one of the best entrances in the WWE at the moment, and he comes into the ring and he makes it perfectly clear that he wants a shot at the heavyweight championship. So now my problem with all of this is that Jey Uso has already been announced in the Royal Rumble. Then why are we having him challenge Gunther for the title? Once again, anything is possible, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's getting more predictable that with him versus Gunther and him already announced in the Royal Rumble, it almost feels like he is going to lose this match. He's just going to be another great match that Gunther has to show his dominance. We've ran this match back when Gunther was still Intercontinental Champion. He defended against Jey Uso. He also made mention of this, that he has beaten him before, and Jey hasn't beaten him for that title. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this whole aspect. But I feel like we're just filling in spaces for that Saturday night main event, which is not a bad thing, because we're still going to get a great match between the two. They have great chemistry, and sometimes Gunther has this tendency to bring out the best in what Jey Uso brings to the table, given the fact that we've always been harsh on his style of wrestling. It's more one-dimensional, it's more tag team based than it is singles matches, which Gunther also made mention of, that he's going to expose Jey Uso for the great tag team wrestler that he is and not a singles competitor. So we get to see that match, we get to run it back, but I don't get the gist of what we're running it behind, because obviously if Jey is in the Royal Rumble, if he wins the title, will it be deserved? I believe yes, it will. And then obviously he would make a great champ. He's on a high right now. He's running off of some crazy numbers. He's getting fans attracted to the brand. He's selling merch. He has one of the greatest entrances at this point in time in the WWE. So I feel like if he did get the title, it would add more more order to him. And obviously, with him looking and setting his sights on that singles competitor title, it will set him apart from the whole bloodline story, which he did make mention of in the promo, that he's put the bloodline behind him. Now he needs to focus on main event Jey Uso. Great segment between the two. So we have the match that's obviously been made official, that it will be Jey Uso versus Gunther, Saturday night main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Can't wait to see the match. It will obviously be a great match, but storyline wise, I really don't get where they're going with all of this, but it's a great match nonetheless because they have great chemistry and we've seen matches before from them. Obviously, we have the light-up video package, which then explains her story as to how she got to where she is today. The same with Dakota Kai. This is obviously in preparation for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. Obviously, they were going to be crowning the first Intercontinental Women's Champion tonight on the Raw. And we got to see that great match between Lyra and Dakota. And I mean, these two went out and showed out. I won't lie to anyone. These guys, I was not familiar with the game. Like, I will not lie to anyone. I was not familiar as to... I know how good Dakota is because obviously I've been exposed to Dakota for the past couple of months on the main roster. But the chemistry that she had with Lyra was flipping fantastic. I enjoyed the match. There were great spots. The focus was... Lyra was focusing more on Dakota's back, and obviously they had a great spot in the match where she hit a suplex onto the floor, and from there I think it was just a match which fans also got invested in and saw just how awesome it is. Congratulations to Lyra being the first inaugural Intercontinental Champion in WWE. Well deserved. The work that she put in and the work rate that she had gone through this whole process from when the tournament started to how it ended. I believe she just really showed us as to how much of a great in-ring performer she is. And then going forward, she'll obviously be able to defend that title. She already has EFC that's eyeing her on taking the title from her, so obviously it builds onto that. It builds onto everything. And like I've always said and I've always mentioned in many cases, without a storyline, we are just doing extravagant gymnastics inside a square circle. We need some sort of storyline and things that lead and feed more into the match itself so you can understand where we're going. And obviously, I feel this is what Triple H has perfected. Long-term booking, storyline telling, and then obviously building superstars to a certain amount and then a certain level and exposing them to the world at this point in time. Congratulations to Lyra on the championship win. We look forward to seeing you defend the title, and we obviously hope nothing but the best and all the best for you. It was a great match. It was a great back and forth. The in-ring chemistry, like I said, it's something special. Like the clinic that they put on, the time that they were given to put on that clinic, it was flipping fantastic, and it was great to see. We got a promo with the New Day. Kofi's looking more sus every week. I don't want to lie to you. Kofi's looking more sus every flipping week. Getting to see the New Day in a heel aspect is going to take time for me because I've known them to be the positive driven New Day, yes it is, type of vibes. I'm not used to seeing them in this. It's something that I'm obviously, it might just be me, but it's going to take a bit of a while for me to accept that they're a heel faction at this point in time, having done what they did to Big E. They didn't even touch the guy, but they've got heat on them just because they ganged up on him and basically kicked him out of the New Day for being injured. This is the reason he got kicked out of the New Day, for being injured, and it wasn't even his fault. So yeah, the New Day right now teased the fact that they would be in a in-ring match next week. We don't know who their opponents are. We'll obviously get to see that once the match has been made official, and then also obviously story develops as time goes by. Maybe next week we'll see who the opponents are. And but yeah, New Day, doing what New Day is doing nowadays, attitude, asking for why everybody hates them. I don't know. I don't know. And Kofi's mom is not talking to him apparently. Kofi's mom is not talking to him, and yeah, it's just pissing Kofi off. But I think he needs to grow that mustache back. Yeah, just grow the mustache back, Kofi. It's getting more sus every week, but overall, it's gonna take time for me to get used to seeing the New Day as a heel faction, because obviously it's 10 years of positivity. There have been heels here and there, but nothing this extreme, nothing this brash, nothing this cocky, nothing this standing out and just letting everyone know how they feel about them. You get what I'm saying? And then it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a bit darker. It's a bit more selfish. It's a bit more self-absorbed. It's more swag. It's more. You can see the swag. Xavier nowadays has these clothes that are on that show off more of his like brash side, and yeah, it's not the same New Day. So I can't wait to see what they offer in ring and what they do differently from what we've known them to be doing. And we get The Miz. I've already covered The Miz and Sami Zayn, and I've already covered as to how much The Miz for me as a competitor is. And Sami Zayn got the win, much needed win in the match. And we got announcements that Sheamus will be facing Braun Breaker. This is big. This is big. I think now is the perfect time to just, prepare ourselves for another banger. It was made official. Saturday night main event. We have Sheamus versus Braun Breaker, and then we have Gunther versus Jey Uso. And then obviously after all of this the match had taken place, this is where the match went in. I've already covered that, but this is where the match happened. Rhea Ripley gave us a promo. In this promo, Rhea Ripley basically just affirming herself that she is back on the top of the mountain. She is the peak of the women's division, and she's running the show. With that having been said, this is where Nia Jax came in. Nia Jax herself was a dominant women's champion after she had just lost the title to Tiffany Stratton, who cashed in. Well deserved on her part as well. We can't wait to see what she has as a champion for us. But Nia Jax basically coming in and letting Rhea know that she was backstage and she couldn't help overhear about something about dominance with female wrestlers. So that being said, it was a great segment. Bayley also jumped into it, which is why I don't get why they give them front row tickets if they're gonna get involved later in the show. Why not just put them at the back and have them come out when all of this is happening? But yeah, I guess it's more of a fan interaction sort of. I don't even know what happens in the crowd when all of this is happening, when Bayley is getting shown and she's sitting in the front row. Do they then interact with the fans? I don't understand, but I would feel that it's more appropriate to have them in the back, come out, get involved in whatever way they need to get involved, and take it from there. Obviously, with everything happening, we get Rhea Ripley and Bayley team up, which then gets Nia Jax out of the ring. I guess it was just a small segment to let us know that Rhea Ripley is back on top. Bayley has a championship match coming up later, and Nia Jax is still on the hunt to show how dominant of a female wrestler she is in the company. Which, don't get me wrong, Nia Jax had one of the best title runs. Ever since her return, with Triple H taking over, she has done some of her best work in the company. She has been putting on great matches, putting on great promos. It's almost like a renewed sense of confidence that Nia Jax has had in herself, and it's been showing in her matches. Obviously, there's people who will wanna try and put down Nia Jax and say that she didn't. So yeah, like I said, Nia Jax is putting out some of her greatest work that I've seen in a while. Sorry for the interruptions. It's just a crazy day today. Just moving, packing stuff up. So yeah, Nia Jax showing that she's still dominant and still coming out there, putting on a promo to let everyone know that she's still who she thinks she is. And Rhea Ripley, once again, women's champion. We're breaking away from the whole Judgment Day hopefully we're breaking away from that whole Judgment Day storyline, and she can focus on a bit more, something more to sink her teeth in, except the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. We just need her to build the women's division up once again, and I'm sure she'll have a great run. I also wanted to put out a special shout out to Nia Jax's run, which she doesn't get enough credit. She put on some of the best matches and some of her greatest work in this run. And here we are at the end of the show. We have Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that professional wrestling is back and it's cool again, go watch this match. Go watch Finn Balor, go watch Damian Priest. Two people who know each other very, very well, who've put on great matches before. And this one, I think they outdid themselves. It was one of the craziest street fights that I've seen in a while. Given the fact that at some point Finn Balor was stretched out with a neck brace and Damian Priest went and fetched him on the stretcher and threw him into the ring. This is one of the best street fights that I've seen in a long time. Given the fact that street fights were then turned into what we would call a comical show with Magic Street Fight on Center Street or something, or some weird stuff like that. This was actually a great match between Finn Balor, and it deserved to be in the main event. We got table spots, we got Judgment Day interfering, we got the War Raiders coming in helping out. It was such a phenomenal match. It was a match that I feel deserved to end the night off. It was a great match to end the night off. Damian Priest finally defeating Finn Balor, so obviously, which means hopefully this is the end of Damian and Finn Balor's clash over the whole "you betrayed me as your brother," as he screamed out at the end of the match, "I am not my brother's keeper." And I just hope going forward we can get storylines attached and then made for these two competitors so that they can both grow individually and away from each other. And if they at some point need to come in and then face each other one-on-one once again, it will be under different circumstances, under different storylines, hopefully. And it just ends off Monday Night Raw on such a bang. The whole match the whole match just encapsulates everything that was Raw on that day. You had debuts, great matches, great promos, fantastic show all in all. The second show on Netflix was a 10 out of 10 for me, and I just hope going forward this is how we build the brand, this is how we structure it, this is how Triple H then incorporates every little thing that he can in order for us to get hooked. I'm already looking forward to the next episode. I'm already looking forward to Saturday night main event. I'm even more pumped up about the Royal Rumble, which is going to be so flippin' awesome. It's going to be so flippin' nice. We're going to have such a great time with that on. And I just want everyone to be... This is I genuinely can't find anybody that had a problem with this episode of Raw. And it's hard for anybody to have a problem with this episode because it was so flippin' awesome. End-to-end action throughout the show. New Intercontinental Women's Champion. Penta made his debut. Chad Gable was fantastic. Everyone in the show just put their best foot forward, and we had one of the most best flowing shows. Nothing felt rushed. This is the one other thing that we used to experience as WWE fans in the previous regime. We felt that the shows were a bit rushed. And with this, I think Triple H has slowed it down, and then he has made it easy for everyone to just feel like everything is just gelling into each other. So it was a great show. I really enjoyed it thoroughly, and can't wait for the next episode of Raw. Hopefully we can cover NXT. I'll just check out when it's on, and once it's on, go through it, catch up, try to see how much I can get as to what's been going on in NXT, because I won't even lie to you, I haven't really been invested in NXT since the good old black and gold days, when Triple H was also in charge of the show. But because now we're doing this channel and we need to discuss and obviously go through everything that has happened on NXT, I'll give myself time to go through all that's been happening in NXT and try to just catch up on everything, so we can review the show a bit more in detail. It's not as detailed as I would like it to be, but it's a review nonetheless. It's my reactions to everything that's been happening, my thoughts and everything that's been going on, and it's just a great show nonetheless. Raw was a fantastic show today. It flowed very nicely, flowed into each other, didn't feel rushed, didn't feel like anything was taken out of context. Nothing happened out of the extraordinary that would have you going, okay, what's going on? Everything felt like it was well planned, well layered, and then it happened the way it should have been, and then how it should have been at the time. So it was a great Raw. Really enjoyed it. I look forward to coming back here on again. And once again, guys, let's just spread the word. I think this is the first South African podcast that covers WWE. I'm not sure. We're just looking to make the channel grow so we can, in a way, just introduce the South African market to the WWE. I know it sounds weird when I say it, but we as South Africans, I know that there's a lot of great South African YouTubers that would not exactly just like YouTubers, like part of the South African population that enjoy wrestling. So I just need to make this a space where we can all just get together. And it doesn't have to just be South Africans. It can be anyone that enjoys the product, that enjoys reviews, that enjoys wrestling, and we can just interact, see how we can grow together. And then, yeah, as usual, guys, Simon Says Wrestling. That's the handle. Sai Says Wrestling on X. Follow me on X, then we can just exchange a couple of ideas, interactions. If you have any suggestions as how we can make the channel a bit better, feel free, hit me up on the DMs on X. Obviously here, just like, subscribe and comment on the video. It would go a long way. Obviously the channel is still young at this point in time, but we will get to a point where it's big, because the community in the wrestling is very, very big, and I would like for everyone. And if you enjoy this sort of content, just let me know, hit me up, comment section, and we can interact, guys. Simon Says Wrestling. Until next time, peace.